Microphone check, microphone check. This is AGTV. This is day 4 of the Jam Master Jay case. Witness Stephen Watford took the stand and testified. He has connection to Hollis via his family. He's a cousin to Jam Master Jay, grew up with him since the age of 8. Says he worked for J&J Records, which was started in the 80s. He did promotions and other things. He also made the documentary Two Turntables and a Mic, executive produced by 50 Cent, who he mentions. He states he knows Tenard, Ronald Tenard Washington, who was one of the defendants in this case. Says he first met him in the spring of 2002. Both stayed at Jam Master Jay's childhood home. Tenard was sleeping on the couch at this time. Mind you, Stephen is not a witness to the murder. He was not there at the studio that night of the murder. He was asked to identify Lil D. D is Carl Jordan, the godson of Jam Master Jay. They also asked him if he could identify Tenard. Now, he said, "Where am I looking at?" The government told him, "Well, I can't tell you that. You just have to take a look." And he said, "Well, I don't have my glasses." Right then and there, he couldn't see Tenard. For the people, they've shown multiple photos of Tenard, like mugshots through the years. He does look different versus today from back then. In his mugshots, he does have facial hair. He has hair. Now, he has glasses, clean shaven, bald. So I don't blame the man if he can't identify him off the bat. It's been 20-something years. Then as the government continues to question him, he says, "Is that Tenard right there?" And, well, you're not supposed to you're only supposed to answer the questions that are given to you. You can't speak out loud like if it's a conversation. And then they had to take a sidebar. He also stated that Big D lived across the street from Jam Master Jay. Big D and Jay were friends, and Stephen, has known Lil D his whole life. Lil D has a tattoo, I believe, on his neck that says Golden Child. Jay Bryant, he was asked about Jay Bryant. Jay Bryant is another defendant in this case that is being tried separately. I believe he's going to be tried in 2025 or 2026. He says he's never heard or seen him before. He states right before JMJ's death, Run DMC was ready to go on tour. He says him and Tenard were cool. Randy Allen and Jay were the only ones who had keys to the studio. Prior to Jay's death, he saw him carrying a gun and says he was nervous about something. He also states that Jay told him stay away from the studio. It could be dangerous. And he said he never saw Jay around or involved in drugs. And there was one time where Tenard came to Jay and Stephen and asked if they had a 40 caliber bullet. If they had 40 caliber bullets. They said no. And when asked, did it seem weird or strange? He said no, it was normal because they lived in the hood. Stephen says him and Jay were together on the 29th, the day before. And he stated that Jay was in a celebratory mood, that he was really proud. He had just finished hanging out with 50 Cent. He was proud of 50's deal being signed to Shady and Dr. Dre. And he also stated that 50 executive produced his documentary, Two Turntables and a Mic. The way he found out that Jay was killed was by phone. He was in his house, and in Hollis, he was in Jay's house where he was staying at, and he got a phone call. They told him that Jay was shot and killed. So he runs out the house, and oddly enough, who he sees sitting in a car across the street is Big D. So he tells him, Jay got shot, take me to the studio. So they drive down to the studio. When asked if he tried to get in, he said he couldn't. He couldn't get in the studio because they had roped it off, police tape. They asked him how he got back home. He said Bimmy took him back to the house. And then the only time he seen Tenard, and he says Tenard walked in, that Stephen was already in the house. He says Tenard walked in, placed a Hennessy bottle on the table, and said this is the last bottle Jay was drinking from when he died. Stephen says that Tenard didn't seem that concerned or distraught about the news of Jay's death. And he says that him and Jay didn't discuss why he had a gun. The defense also asked if he offered $5,000 for the rights to Jam Master Jay's life. And the next witness, and she was there actually at the studio. This is a young woman. She was a singer at the time. She had music, and she had an appointment to go to the studio and show off some of her music. She gets there. She never been to the studio before, and she walks right up, and she doesn't know where exactly Jay's studio is. The first office, when you walk right up the stairs of the building, is an insurance company. Then she's pointed out where the studio is. Down the hallway, she's greeted. Long story short, she's in the room. She's in the studio. There's another room, which they step in with. Inside the room is her, Mike B, and Randy Allen. So she was showing off her music. And by the second song that was played, She hears scuffling and she hears 2 shots run off. Also, before she stepped in the other room, she saw Jay playing a video game with Raccoon, and she saw that Jay had a gun. Once she heard the 2 gunshots, she becomes frantic. She looks at Mike and Randy. She actually tries to kick in an AC to get out. In order to get out, she's frantic, and there's an AC window. She tries to kick this AC. She can't get out. She can't kick it in. The room that they're in, the door is not fully closed, but it's close enough that you can hear things and you can hear the gist of what's going on outside. She hides behind a couch that's in that room. Before she came out, she said she heard a gunshot. She also smelled gunpowder, gun smoke. She was really scared. She comes out. She sees Rincon on the couch. Rincon keeps repeating, I'm shot, I'm shot. She sees Jay's lifeless body on the floor. And James like slumped over. His arm is like over his head. So immediately she says she's concerned. So she tries to, along with Rincon, tries to check for Jay's pulse. So they try to turn him over. Immediately when they try to turn him over, she breaks down. She's crying while she's saying this on the stand. And she says his brain matter fell out. And she almost threw up. And I think that really left an impression on everyone in the courtroom, in the gallery. Someone that also testified was a gentleman named ZR. He's from South Jamaica, Queens. He said he didn't want to be there testifying. He was there. He was picked up on a warrant. He has a brother named Tiff. He grew up with Jay Bryant in Basic Projects. Keep in mind, Jay Bryant is another defendant in this case that we tried at a different date. He points to Carl Jordan. Now, he does not know Carl Jordan by his government name, Carl Jordan. He knows him as Noid. He identifies him in the courtroom. He recognizes him. The government asks, is Blackout a drug trafficking organization? He says, no, according to the government it is. But Blackout to him is I believe a music label. The next witness after that was Michael Rapley. Michael Rapley was a good friend of JMJ, aka Mike B. He was in the studio, mind you. He was in the studio in the other room with the young lady that testified, Tiara. They put a picture up of Jam Master Jay for everyone to see on the projector. Now, when Mike Rapley describes his relationship, he kind of gets upset, and he says that he also, when he stated, not upset, but he kind of almost broke down, crying. He says that JMJ lent him money for his mother's funeral. And that's when he got kind of emotional. And the government demanded the picture be taken down of the projector, Jay's picture. Says he was in the other room with Randy Allen and the other young woman, the singer, Tiara. He said he heard 2 or 3 gunshots while in the other room. He was in fear for his life. He said he ran out of the control room and saw JMJ on the floor. Again, he doesn't know Jay Bryant. He knows Lil D, he knows Big D, and he also knows Tenard. So there it is. That is day 4. Keep it locked in, and we'll have more. Peace.